You are live. Okay, good stuff. We are live. I saw there were 3 people on the waiting list, so we already have a few people online. Welcome. So, John, the big buff brother, is here joining us today. So we're going to be tackling whatever you guys want to ask. And Noah is here joining us as well. Thank you for being here, Noah. Say hello. Hello. So yeah, we're going to be talking about whatever it is that you guys will ask. There's going to be a big Q&A. So ask away. And yeah, we'll have John here. So be sure to take advantage that the big bro is here.
We want the most challenging questions on planet Earth today.
Yes, exactly.
We do.
And just so you guys are aware, we have, we're going to be answering probably a lot of questions. There are only 16 people here now, but as we go on, there's probably going to be a lot of questions. So we're going to try to answer as many as possible. But if you want to make sure that your question is guaranteed to be answered, there's a little $sign next to the chat box. I think you can give as little as $1, and that will make sure that your question gets answered.
We prefer $100, but $1 is also that's okay.
Yeah, 100 cents.
Yeah.
And also, if we have any questions, last time EA Baco actually asked a question that I didn't have an answer to, and what I'm doing is I am writing those down on this piece of paper, and then on the Sunday, whenever we have our next live, which is going to be on Sunday, I'll do some research and then answer any of the questions that we don't get today on that Sunday. So that's the plan. Anyways, I think we already have a little question here, John. Hey, stop trying to get the middle of the screen. So we got lots of people saying hi to Noah, and then we have a favorite TV show from Beautiful Rissa. Beautiful. Oh, Hench Herbivore is in the house. Hey, Paul, welcome. So, John, what's your favorite TV show?
Breaking Bad. Easy.
Breaking Bad. That was easy. My favorite TV show is
Gossip Girl.
Yeah, Sex and the City. No, is that even a TV show or is it a movie?
I don't know.
No, one of my favorite TV shows of all time has to be Vikings, just because I'm a very violent vegan. No, but seriously, Vikings, for those of you who haven't watched it, it's very violent. It's a bit actually too gory, in my opinion. Kind of like Game of Thrones. I also really like Game of Thrones. But Vikings has one of the most epic characters in any TV show that I've ever seen is Ragnar. And the character development they have in this show is just... He's just the coolest character I've ever seen. So anyways, that's one of my favorite shows. But I'm sure there's a lot of other good shows out there. What about you, Noah? What's your favorite TV show? No TV shows on Noah yet, huh? TV show. Actually, we sat down and we listened to animal sounds the other day. He thought that was so much fun.
Oh yeah, he loves animals. Yeah, he could. Yeah, I don't know. He likes Bounce Patrol. It's a YouTube channel. It's like his favorite YouTube show. It's like songs for kids. So he keeps watching that.
Yeah, I remember when we were in LA, I was listening to that all the time. It's still stuck in my head. Sometimes still wake up in the middle of the night with some of the baby songs. But yeah, so thank you for the question, Beautiful Rissa. So we got one here. Why wearing t-shirts? John, is there a reason we're wearing t-shirts?
Well, we don't want to be demonetized on YouTube, right?
Exactly. We've got to keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
All right. So what is...
But for $100...
For $100, we will take it off. This is not the kind of live we're doing here, guys. We're not doing that kind of live. Anyways, with enough money, anything can happen. Just kidding. So we got... That was Yoshilde Ishihara. Thank you. So which one of you is the tallest? That is Razvan Irizoyu.
As you can tell, my upper body is the tallest.
Yeah, it's really strange. I'm actually almost 10 centimeters taller. So you're like 6'1", which is like 185 centimeters. I'm 6'4", or 194. And John actually has a longer torso, which is kind of strange. So when I sit in a car after John, I have to put the mirror down as if I was shorter, even though when we stand next to each other, I'm quite a lot taller. So the difference is in our legs. My legs are like twice as long as yours. So I think if you could combine John's back or John's torso with my legs, you'd have a 2-meter monster.
Yeah. Something went wrong.
Something went wrong. Yeah, weird proportions. Thank you for the question. That was Raz Van Ierzo. All right, let's see. We got down here. John Ola the Cola is asking, "Are you jealous of my beard?"
Yeah. I mean, I'm more jealous of the mustache because I've always had a childhood dream of having a mustache. I'm still waiting. Maybe when I'm 30, I'll be able to have a mustache. We'll see. But always jealous of anyone who has facial hair.
Yeah, it definitely does make me feel a lot more fulfilled as a man, as a human being in general. That's actually one of my favorite jokes. Is Sergi, one of your friends, always making fun of you because you're like the most muscularly developed man in the world, but you can't grow a mustache.
Sad. I'm very sad.
But hey, we all have our things. John has the muscles. I have the mustache. So there you go. Thanks for the question. All right, let's see. We got some more questions running into myself. How long have you been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I guess I can take that question since John hasn't really done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But myself, I did it for almost a year in total. I'd say maybe, actually a bit over a year, maybe 9 months about in Ireland when I was studying there. And then I've done, okay, maybe not 1.5, maybe 3-4 months. So just over a year in total. But yeah, it's one of my favorite sports. So much fun, so dynamic. You have the strength, the endurance, the mental, the psychology aspects. It's very technical. There's a lot of moves to learn. So out of any sport I've done, it's probably the most interesting one I've tried so far. I also like wrestling and MMA in general. But yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a lot of fun. Actually, John, you did do a tiny bit of, at one point when you lived in London, I think you did a little bit of MMA at some point, didn't you?
No. Not really.
No?
I did some in the village in Norway.
Okay, yeah. So never like seriously, you never did like over long periods of time.
No, not really. No. But it's a really cool sport. I love it.
Yeah. So
we're getting some questions now. That's cool.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Not any challenging ones though. We're asking for the most challenging, the most hardcore, crazy, difficult questions ever because we're in that mood today. Yeah. We're here to change the world.
Yeah. So any questions you guys can think of that are you guys can try to challenge the bond of brotherhood here. But anyways, just a little reminder for those of you, because I've already seen we've gotten so many questions, jumped over so many. If you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, you can donate as little as $1 to make sure it pops up. So just keep that in mind if we jump over your question. So anyways, next one I see here. Do you see anyone? How can you speak Norwegian? That's Ola the Cola again. Do you want to speak a little bit, say something in Norwegian?
No, that's only for paying customers.
I can say that in Norwegian if you want.
Yeah, do
it. Det bare for de som betaler.
There you go.
All right.
Good enough.
Okay.
Is a raw vegan diet healthy? Don't think I'm gonna skip that one.
Okay, that's
it's acres. The worst. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Well, I'm not kidding. It is much more difficult, in my opinion, to meet your needs on a raw vegan diet. But of course, I do have friends that are succeeding on it. So, it does definitely seem that it's very possible, but it's not something that I personally recommend myself because it's one, it requires a lot more nutritional knowledge. And two, I think it's really, climate dependent and, financially dependent on, how much fruits and veggies and all that costs as well. And I don't think everyone can thrive on it for sure. Yeah.
No, I think exactly. I think you can definitely make it work. But for me, the thing I think about is one of the main drivers in our evolution that a lot of anthropologists look at as the main driving force to shifting our gut physiology as well as our brain size, etc., is being able to use more calories out of the food through cooking. So it's estimated that around 2 to 2.5 million years ago, we actually started cooking our food. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to remove cooking when it's been a part of our evolution even. It's been part of making us the species that we are. So, and there's so many healthy foods, legumes, and types of potatoes, sweet potatoes, so many different types of foods that can only be eaten cooked as well. But yeah, I definitely think it can work for some people, but like John said, it's more challenging. Do you see any good questions?
I do, and I'm gonna go straight for the ex-vegan right here, just for the controversy. Where is he? I saw him somewhere.
Where is he?
Where is it? Damn it. Okay, never mind. Go for another one.
Okay, so would you recommend? Oh, that's okay. Maybe I'll take this one so you can
Yeah.
look for the question. So
Yeah.
this is Mr. Bill Edwards, UK. Would you recommend an MD, nutrition science, or biochemistry degree? I have my opinion after studying for so many years and acquiring quite a lot of debt. I have actually, I don't even want to say how much debt I have, but after you have done all of this, I think we live in a world today where you can actually acquire almost any knowledge you want without going to university. Colleges and universities, it's become kind of like a business in most areas. In certain fields where you require a license, such as medicine, where it's a way to safeguard the patients and make sure that no quacks who just have no education, no training, no formal expertise just goes in and scams people and says, oh, I know everything about health, just go keto and you'll be healthy or whatever. Everything has to be controlled. There's a standard that we are held to, and in those areas, of course, you have to go through that formal education to get to that profession. But otherwise, I would say stay away from getting too much loan. It's a way to kind of dig yourself in a hole very early on in life and imprison yourself in the cage of debt, which is not a very nice thing to do. And also, when it comes to medicine, I would say you have to be very passionate about it. Otherwise, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, and it's not really worth it unless you really want to be a doctor. But of course, otherwise, knowledge is always good. I'm just saying, formal degrees are not always the way. You can acquire knowledge other ways as well. But if you think it's the right way for you, then I have a lot of good experience from college as well. And in Norway, luckily, all college is free. I always tell this to my American friends. It's $40, I think, for a year for college in Norway. So it's like nothing. It's just the administrative fees. So I hope that answered your question. Did you find the ex-vegan question?
No, but I think some people reminded us on the newest comments. The ex-vegan question said, do you have any idea why so many ex-vegans have teeth problems? Okay. So, ex-vegan, like, it's one of those things that, ex-vegans will have all the same problems as, just normal people. And vegans will have many problems as, non-vegans. There is no, trend just because a lot of ex-vegans say they have their buttholes hurt when they go to the bathroom. It doesn't mean that it's related to anything that
that's after they stop being vegan, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happens. So these random anecdotal claims don't make any sense. Like, I mean, so many people have teeth problems, while they're eating, a omnivorous Western diet, because obviously, a lot of sugar, not washing, their mouth, not brushing their teeth, not flossing, etc. So many things that go into so many different things. So, just because an ex-vegan says something, it doesn't mean much. It's to be taken with a grain of salt for sure. And that is regarding any problem, whether it's digestion, teeth, brain fog, brain damage, whatever they're claiming.
Yeah,
you can find examples, in everyone, all kinds of groups in terms of dietary groups. Yeah.
This is, it's kind of the same when I was talking about the coronavirus. Is just we're so many people on the planet. We're 7 billion people, and there's so many people who are ex-vegans. I don't know how many millions of people have tried the vegan diet and found some reason why it didn't work for them. So you're gonna see, when you're dealing with such huge proportions of people, you're always gonna see a lot of different stuff, and it's important not to get skewed, our perspective skewed. We see this in medicine where people are working in hospitals, and in hospitals you see all the rare things, because all the rare stuff that your family doctor can't solve, that your normal family or physician can't figure out, then it gets sent to the hospital. So all the rare stuff that is maybe 1 in 1,000, maybe or 1 in 1,000 isn't even that rare. So 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million, those all go to the hospital, and so you get this skewed view of reality, where you think that a lot of these really rare conditions, rare diseases, are actually a lot more common than they actually are. And the same if you're consuming a certain type of content on the YouTube space, and there's a certain type of thing that you're looking at, you might get a skewed view that this is, so common, this is all that's going on, whereas in reality, that might be just a tiny, tiny portion of the whole. So just important to keep that in mind. Oh, we see we got, should we do the paid one, or do you have any other questions you want to answer first?
Is that a question? I just see a banana.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So does that mean we had to show it?
Oh,
Just kidding.
oh, that's because you told them that for money we'll take it off.
No, that's nothing to do with the banana. I didn't say the pants were coming off, guys.
Just the shirt.
That's $200, not one.
149.
150, you know,
I really appreciate the
that's pushing
support.
it.
So
Yeah.
James Mahmood, thank you for the banana donation of 150. I appreciate that. Thank you
That
very
will
much.
go into Leo's
Banana budgets.
paying back his student loans, basically.
Exactly. And buying bananas.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think that's the ex-vegan. It's like nothing to do with brushing teeth. I think this is the guy who originally asked the
Taylor
question.
Marshall?
I think so. Yeah.
all right. So yeah.
So basically, the conclusion says nothing has ever helped. So one thing that we should talk about is how diet itself is, in my opinion, not even the most important indicator of health, because you see so many people living long lives with horrible diets.
Mhm.
Of course, it's a very, very important pillar of health, but your mental health, I think, is probably even way more important than nutrition to depending on your situation. So there can be so many different reasons for people's issues, and a lot of times if you believe in something strongly, your mind will make it a reality, whether you believe that a sugar pill is going to cure your disease, or you believe that your current diet is going to cause you cancer. Like your mind is so powerful that anything can happen, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with the actual behavior that you're doing physically. It could be all mental as well.
Yeah, the placebo effect is really powerful. For
The
sure.
nocebo.
Oh, the nocebo, exactly, the negative placebo. And you even have randomized controlled trials of drugs where, for example, antidepressive, 80% of people get the same positive benefit from a placebo as they do from the antidepressant. So
Yeah.
it is a very powerful effect. And psychology goes, all of these things, we always talk about the holistic approach, right? So taking all of the factors into consideration. So diet, exercise, sleep, relaxation, mental, social well-being, all that kind of stuff. All of these are interrelated. So it's not just one factor that will magically change something, but mindset and psychology, absolutely, I think, is one of the most underestimated factors, because it plays such a big role in your behavior in all of these other aspects as well, like your psychology, your mindset, the belief that you can do things, and all these things. So I think it's absolutely one of the most important things. And as you guys know, I'm super interested in psychology. I'm actually thinking of taking some courses and broadening my depth of knowledge in psychology as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Mike Adriano has a very interesting question. Not that everyone's going to be interested in this, but for you, Mike, you're asking, do we have any coaching spots left because you'd like one? And the answer is yes, for sure, we do. So all you have to do is, well, what's the easiest way? Do you have a link somewhere on your YouTube? Or?
Yeah, I have a link. Oh man, I should have linked it on my profile.
Yeah,
I have some videos, not the last 3 videos. I have, I think, maybe 4, 5, 6 videos ago. If you just go into one of the videos on the second line, otherwise you probably
Instagram.
have it. Yeah.
I got it on Instagram. You got it on Instagram as well,
Yeah.
right? Or no?
So if you're on Instagram, you can just click the link there and
you can
apply there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. See any other cool questions?
Too many. You choose one this time.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we got something on the bananas. What is your opinion on NoFap? Is not masturbating healthy or unhealthy? Again, I think this is one of these complex topics that there's just so many different ways of interpreting that. I mean, masturbation is a pretty natural thing. A lot of people have masturbated throughout all the ages, and it looks like John is masturbating right now. Is that the face you make when you masturbate? So basically, I think it depends a lot on different things, right? So there's a lot of things. For example, if you're using pornography a lot, that can be very unhealthy in terms of the effect it can have on you. People can get addicted to this kind of stuff.
If you do it too aggressively.
You're going to get physical injuries. Actually, that's one of the weirdest things as a doctor. You sometimes see people with sex injuries because people do some weird stuff. People, they go crazy. They use all sorts of objects, and sometimes
high heels.
Yeah, whatever it is. Some people hurt themselves, and then they come, and it must be the most awkward thing for someone to come into the hospital and be like, "Hey, doctor, so yeah, we were doing this thing, and now it's just like we need surgery." So it does happen. But yeah, I would say it's too general to say. I would say, if you if you're not addicted to it, if you're not getting an unrealistic view, you're not using pornography too much, it's not having a negative impact otherwise on your life, it might not be a problem. But everything in balance. I think I was almost going to say it in moderation, but I hate that phrase and I don't want to use it. So I hope that answers your question. Anyways, I think some people talk about it like boosting your concentration and your testosterone. So I haven't seen actual studies on it. All of it is anecdotal, so I wouldn't be able to tell you whether any of that NoFap stuff is actually real. So anyways, interesting question.
Mr. Bill is asking, do you guys plan on living together in LA? I saw you guys were there on Instagram. Yeah, we lived in LA for 1 month. Yeah, just about 1 month together. And that was exactly 3 weeks ago, I think, or 4 weeks ago. So yeah, that was a really cool experience. We don't have any particular plans on moving together to LA or anything like that. It was just like, it's just a really cool base because so many people with similar lifestyles and so many people who are into similar things as us, specifically the vegan lifestyle and fitness and health and a holistic lifestyle do live and work in LA. So it's always a cool place to visit, and I've been going there for the last 4 years, and I think I'll be going back every single year for sure, maybe even move there at some point. But yeah, we don't have an actual plan of moving in together.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. It was really nice. So we'll see. Okay, we got some question here. This is specific for me. How would you go about learning a new topic like psychology? So I guess you can always learn things through going through scientific literature. You can buy books that universities use, or of course you can even do online courses. You can go to universities if you want. There's many ways of learning knowledge nowadays. But of course, it's important to know the difference between good quality information and bad quality when it comes to scientific evidence, and comparing that to anecdotal evidence and opinions, right? Because a lot of books, if it's just an author's opinion, then that's what it is. It's an opinion. Whereas studies and scientific research are held to a different standard. So yeah, we got lots of.
We got one here. Leo, why does John eat a iodine deficient diet?
Wait, who's asking that?
I don't know. That's the one that I saw. Right
So
here. Does it matter who it is?
Why is John eating an iodine deficient diet? Well, first of all, I don't know if John is eating the iodine deficient diet, and if he did,
I'm plant-based.
Oh, all plant-based diets are the iron.
I'm guessing that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of what they're getting at. So, iodine, if you're wondering, the safest ways that actually iodine you can find in almost any food in terms of vegetables, legumes, nuts, and seeds. A lot of foods actually have iodine. It's just that. Yeah, it depends. It depends where the food is grown geographically. Okay. It depends on the amounts that are found in the soil. The problem is that it varies so much from depending on where the food is coming from. So because the values are so varying, it's so variable, the only really safe way of making sure that you're getting enough is either to use some iodized salt, to eat some seaweeds that are always high in iodine, so things like nori,
dulse,
kelp. You have to be a little bit careful with kelp though, because kelp can have extremely high amounts and that can be toxic. And then there's another one that you also have to be careful with called hijiki, because that one can be arsenic, contaminated with arsenic. But dulse and nori for sure, those are safe amounts. Kelp, sometimes used for supplements, and sometimes you can use them in small amounts, but it can be toxic, very, very high amounts as well. Oh yeah, okay. So this guy is just a hater. I think he's just making lots of bad. Actually, we should probably get a moderator at some point. But anyways, we have probably some good questions too. What's the weirdest thing you have done for filming? That's a good question. That's the Beautiful Rissa again. Awesome.
No comment.
No comment. By the way, guys, just so you guys know again, because again, we're skipping through so many questions. If you want to guarantee that we answer your question, there's a $sign. You can donate as little as $1, and that will guarantee we answer your question. And if we can't answer your question, we'll write it down and answer it on the next slide. So, weirdest thing I've ever done for filming. I think the weirdest thing. Oh, well, to be honest, we did a lot of skits when we were little, before we even did YouTube.
Luckily, they're nowhere to be found.
Unfortunately, I would love to see some of those. One of the funniest things was actually when I was going to start.
Can you ban this banana? The one who's interested in your private parts.
Who? Oh yeah. Let me see. How do I do that? Remove. No. Hide user.
Make him a moderator. No,
Yeah.
hide user. That's
Hide
it.
user.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So
Or-
hopefully no more banana messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we were little, we used to make so many really funny videos, and I remember at one point when I was gonna start my YouTube channel for the first time, I had no idea how to film anything, and I just filmed. I was randomly in the mountains in Norway, in the village where my grandpa's from, just surrounded by beautiful nature, beautiful mountains, and I just picked up the camera. I was wearing an old jumper from my grandpa, and then I had sunglasses from my grand aunt that was like really big, weird sunglasses, and then I was wearing like a hat that was like so strange, and I was just so awkward in front of the camera. And I remember just filming the whole thing. It was so unnatural, so weird. And then I showed it to John, and I think we laughed. We were rolling on the floor laughing at just how ridiculous it was. Just it looked like someone was trying to make it as bad as possible on purpose. But yeah, it was really funny. And then we had lots of.
I thought that you would have no chance in your life to ever have a YouTube channel at that point. I'm glad you proved me wrong.
Yeah, so there you guys go. Like, you can actually improve. You know, the first time can be horrible. But yeah, we also made a lot of like funny videos when we were little. John even went to film school, so you even studied filmmaking. So yeah, we did a lot of stuff like that. We have. I hope one day maybe we should post a few of the old ones that we still have. Like there was one that we did like a parkour parody, which was so hilarious. But who knows? Maybe if we find them, we'll share them. But for me, I think recently the most ridiculous thing I've ever posted is probably my after The Lion King came out. I decided for some reason to go on this big rock in Norway that was just surrounded by nature and do a parody of Lion King just walking in my underwear. I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever posted online. With like the Lion King music in the background, like when he's like walking up to the Pride Rock, and he's like,
"Did you walk on all fours or?"
No, I was just walking normal. And then at the top, I just like looked around, and then you just like saw the stuff. But anyways, we have a question from XXXDJ Mosca.
$5.
Moscas.
I'm gonna be able to afford my diapers.
XXX.
Thank you.
All right. So, is it true that plant food high in zinc will help defeat the coronavirus, or what whole foods do you think will help? So,
help is one thing, right? But,
yeah. So you know, when it comes to any infection, when it comes to any virus, you know, our immune system is essentially what you really want to keep on tip-top shape for fighting these infections. And when it comes to the system, it's beneficial. So sleeping enough, right? So not sleeping.
Wait, you're not connected, I think. Okay,
we're back. It was a bad connection for a second.
Yeah.
So not sleeping enough is one of the big things that impacts our immune system. So if you're not sleeping enough, your immune system actually shoots down. And then when it comes to eating, it's really eating a lot of the vitamin C rich foods, but also a lot of the really nutritional, you know, the nutrition powerhouses, the fruits, the vegetables, the berries, legumes, all these things that are packed with phytochemicals, phytonutrients, as well as, you know, we talk about vitamin C, but when it comes to the immune system, vitamin C is important, vitamin D is important. There's so many different vitamins that are important. It's not just about vitamin C. So it's really a full, you know, trying to take care of your health from all the factors possible. And the healthier you are, the less you have to worry about any infections, whether it be a bacterial infection, whether it be coronavirus, whether it be anything else. So, yeah, I have not, in terms of the zinc specifically, you asked about the zinc. I haven't seen any actual research papers. If you do know of any research papers, please send them my way and I'll take a look. But, you know, when it comes to these things, there's so many anecdotes. There are people talking about all sorts of miracle cures since, you know, it's all over the media. So everyone's talking about coronavirus. But most of these are just opinions.
Scammers.
Yeah, scammers. So I'd say stay away from anything that's not evidence-based, and especially in times like these where it's so much fear and so much panic going around. So unless there's any evidence backing it up.
Yeah, if you guys got an email saying that there is this Indonesian sea moss that has been proven to, you know, just completely obliterates the coronavirus, don't believe it.
Yeah,
because that doesn't exist. And I'm getting those emails on a daily right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of scammers out there for sure,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But anyways, thank you very much for the question, DJ Mosca.
Thank you.
Or Moscas, DJ Moscas. Thank you. All right, do you see any other good questions you can take?
Is 2 scoops of vegan protein safe every day? So, so when it comes to vegan protein powders, what I always like to tell people is that it's not necessary, right? It's just a convenient way to boost your protein intake throughout the day. And when it comes to protein powders, a lot of them go through very sketchy, approvals. Some are not even, don't even have any kind of regulation at all, or don't have any testing for any heavy metals or pesticides, herbicides, and pollutants, contaminants, and that kind of stuff. So I would say that in general, like if you're having a small amount, no matter if the protein powder is tested or not, the chances of it, ruining your health is pretty small. But at the same time, even me being, this bodybuilder or whatever, I never take 2 scoops of protein every day. The max I take is 1.5 scoops at my, peak if I'm not having, protein-rich foods throughout the day. But, even top bodybuilders, as long as you're getting enough protein from whole foods, tempeh, tofu, legumes, these things, I don't see a point in, getting your protein from protein powder as opposed from whole foods, because obviously whole foods are beneficial in so many different ways. They have a lot more nutrients attached to it. It's not processed, it's not isolated, and your body will handle that a lot better. But I'm not against it. I still use protein powder almost every day. I do go weeks and months without it, but if I'm training seriously and trying to build muscle or lose body fat in a very quick way for a photo shoot or something, I'll definitely have, maybe 1.5 scoops of protein a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I agree with that. I'm just going to hide this one guy who's just talking nonsense as well.
What's it saying?
He's just talking about how
the
coronavirus vegans don't get anything, whatever. Anyway, so, so there's one question here that's really easy. Razvan, Arizona.
We don't want easy questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, true. This one is how many languages do you guys speak? So, hablamos español porque hemos vivido en España 5 años. Pratar norsk, falamos português, and then we speak English. So that's 4 languages: English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Norwegian.
And then Danish, and then Swedish.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. It's like, it's like.
And Catalan.
In Catalan, we understand Catalan quite a bit, but we don't really. I don't say I speak it at least. And then we did a bit of French in school as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Are you guys involved in animal activism? Asks Klaus.
Klaus. That's
Klaus.
That's our mom's name.
Klaus.
Oh, Klaus. That's not our mom's name.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's Santa Claus. I do believe in Santa Claus. So I will answer your question.
Oh, without an E at the end.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your
cool
question.
Name. I like
Klaus. Yeah. So, are you involved in animal activism? So, have you ever done any animal activism?
I do it every day. In my opinion, as a vegan, you are an animal activist. That is my take on it, because you are encouraging the same result as anyone else.
Sweet Dennis.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that.
I was just saying that I think that as long as you're promoting a plant-based lifestyle, a vegan lifestyle, you are an animal activist in your own right, because you are promoting the same end result. So but yeah, did you go to the vigil?
Yeah, I went to the pig vigil as well.
Yeah, I went to the vigil, like a pig vigil. Yeah, just like a week before I left LA or something like that. Been a couple of times. Joaquin Phoenix was there at the same time, which was kind of fun to see.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, we go to animal sanctuaries and that kind of stuff, but we don't, stand in front of trucks and protest or anything like that. But again, there is a type of activism that suits everyone, and you should do whatever, kind of activism that you feel empowered to do yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely like to get more into activism, because it's such a nice way to spread the movement as well. And depending, of course, so many different ways, but I do agree that just by sharing the message, you are, in essence, an animal activist. But I would definitely like to. I've seen the anonymous kind of activism. I really like that one, where you're just showing footage and signs and stuff like that. And some of my favorite vegans are animal activists as well. And there's some really talented people like James Aspey, who I've met personally, who's a great guy and such a eloquent and effective speaker, really great communicator. Earthling Ed as well. There's Joey Carpstrom we met in London, Vegan Camp Out. Seems like a great guy, but I didn't really get to talk to him too much. I think you got to know him a bit better. Joey Carpstrom.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of great activists out there, and it's definitely something I'd like to get more into. So do you see any?
No, yeah. Is this a gay couple? This is a comment that it's been. This guy. Okay. Should I block him?
Yeah, I just blocked that guy too. No, we are not a gay couple, but if we were. No, that's the wrong one.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was blocking the wrong person.
The wrong person.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, only sometimes, but most of the time we're just brothers. Just kidding.
We are gay every day. All right.
What's your favorite place? Barcelona, Norway, or LA?
That is a hard question. Why do we need to have favorites? Why can't you just enjoy every place for its different perks and benefits? I think, for the nature side, I'd definitely say Norway. Norway is so beautiful when it comes to the nature. It's just that it's very, very cold and the weather is very unstable. So if you go there in the wrong time of the year, or if you're unlucky with the weather, you might be stuck there with just cold, miserable mist and rain, and it will be not the best experience. But if you're lucky with the weather, majestic, beautiful, fresh air, you go rolling through the fjords, and you're just surrounded by pure nature. It's very untouched, very clean, I definitely do a little bit of Norway. Herschel, visit Norway for tourism. We can't do it now during the quarantine, Corona times, but whenever this is over, check out Norway.
I love this one. What diet does John eat to maintain such a small frame?
Which one was that?
That one.
Oh,
block.
Block him. How dare you speak to my brother like that?
Thoughts on a vegan and a vegan dating? I'm guessing you're asking a vegan dating, a non-vegan.
Yeah, On was probably non-vegan.
Yeah.
So non-vegan and the vegan dating.
Yeah. So I think it could work. It really depends on what kind of person you are and what your values are, what you want out of the relationship, how you see that relationship working. At the end of the day, I think it is difficult, especially if you're, if you're an ethical vegan and you have that connection with animals, and then you have your partner, cooking up steak in front of you, and you have to smell that every single day. I don't see how that works, but I do know of people who actually live that way, and I guess it's just are you able to? Do you accept it? Is it worth it? It's something that everyone has to figure out for themselves. There's nothing I can say or that we can say that will be a one size fits all answer, because this is such a personal topic. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, everybody has to make when it comes to dating and relationships, everyone has to figure out their own preferences and what they want to do in life. But I'm the same. I think, out of all the relationships or people I've met, I've never really been able to seriously consider something if the other person involved is not vegan herself. So that's just my thing. I'm definitely open to getting to know people and maybe even starting a relationship, but over time, if it doesn't go in that direction, for me, it's pretty incompatible as well. But that's why you need to.
Plus, they smell bad. I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke.
Yeah, no, but that's why you have to.
Look, Sparage is in the house. Fake
really?
Account.
Oh,
maybe it's the real one. No, probably not. It was too much of a predictable.
No, that looks like the real account, doesn't it? Welcome, Sverige. You're very welcome to our chat.
No, I don't think so.
All right. So,
do you see a question? Can you talk about some of your favorite meals you like to eat as a plant-based whole foods diet? Favorite meals in general, I'd say oatmeal is one. Burrito bowl, salads. Say a couple.
Yeah, so rice and black beans is a staple that I grew up eating, so I love that. Oatmeal cereals in general. And I love Indian food, and just, yeah, there's a lot of food I love. And I think that vegan diet has really opened the scope of food for me. Whereas before I was vegan, I was very predictable. It'd be potatoes, meat, salad, or, uh, you know, rice, chicken, salad. It was almost always a salad. And it was salad, and fish and whatever else. It was it was almost the same all the time. Whereas when I went vegan, I started really broadening my realm of possibilities when it comes to food. I started eating vegetables that I never used to eat, and there's so many good recipes out there as well. Thai food I love, but yeah, I think that kind of. Why are you smiling? You see a good question?
No, I'm just saying. It sounds like the real.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Earth is flat.
Yeah. Urine drinking. Check. Yes.
Oh my god, so annoying the connection. Okay, we're back.
Yeah. We might actually just leave him because I find it very interesting and fun.
Yeah, let's not block Sverige. Sverige is welcome.
Yeah, we all need some comedy here. I saw one. Can incorporate 2 pounds of bacon per day in my vegan diet. Yeah, if you want to, you can definitely incorporate bacon into your vegan diet. Just make sure that it's lab-grown bacon.
Or vegan bacon.
Vegan bacon, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I think I saw a good question just up here. Do you recommend supplementing vitamin D? So this is a good one to go over because a lot of us are stuck indoors now during the quarantine time that we're not allowed to go outside, especially here in Spain. We're actually not even allowed to walk anywhere unless you're going to get groceries. So vitamin D is something that I recommend to anyone, whether they be vegan or not, as long as if you're not out in the sun. So, this is one of the things that surprises a lot of people when they learn about is that vitamin D isn't really it's not really a vitamin. Well, number one, it's not.
It's basically testosterone.
Yeah. Vitamin D. No, it's actually more accurately thought of as a hormone. So it's, when you eat it, even if you're eating the most rich sources of vitamin D, usually doesn't even make up for 10% of your intake. So when I learned that, I was quite surprised because it's, you talk about it so much in nutrition, but it's actually not really much of a nutrient of concern when it comes to food in general. So whether you think you're eating vitamin D or not, the sun exposure to bare skin is actually the main source of vitamin D. So if you're not getting sun exposure, it doesn't matter if it's summer or winter or whenever it is. If you're not getting exposed to sun, I recommend taking a vitamin D3 supplement. Yeah, and there are tons of vegan ones out there as well. Most pharmacies should have them as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, by the way, just a little reminder, because again, we're skipping so many questions. If you want to make sure your question gets answered and guarantee that, you can donate. There's a little $. You can donate $100,000 or just $1 as well. So you can donate even just $1, and that will guarantee that your question gets answered. Anyways, did you see any good questions?
Yeah, we got Raw Power in the house.
Oh,
right
nice.
there. John Venus fake vegan, not vegan at all. Yeah,
so
I remember that person.
Yeah,
I think I blocked him or her.
Really?
I can never tell by the profile picture.
So Raw Power used to be really supportive of my videos as well. Welcome, Raw Power, by the way. I appreciate you being here. This is John Venus is my brother. I know him pretty well, and he's as vegan as they come. But this is a part of veganism, and again, this is no judgment on you, Raw Power. But when you are making judgments on other people, you are usually making judgment based on a tiny little window that you're seeing into their lives. So you're basically judging a person based on a very minute amount of information. Let's say you might know 0.5% of the story, and then you think you can accurately make a judgment. This is why making judgments on people is completely illogical from just a realistic point of view, and when it's illogical from just a realistic point of view, and when it comes to the psychology principle. Oh, look at John! He's eating something hidden here.
Gotta make a joke sometimes.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to psychology, the judgment mindset, it's one of the things that keeps people away from veganism. It's one of the things that turns people off of veganism, and it's one of the things that, at least maybe content-wise, it can be effective. It can get attention. But when it comes to in-person interaction, never be judgmental. It's only going to push people away. It's going to get people on the defensive. You're going to hurt people's precious pride. Remember, human beings are not logical and rational. We're emotional beings, and we're prejudices and our own subconscious perceptions of things. We've had our own influences throughout life. So don't judge. Be understanding and come from a place of understanding, and you'll have much better impact. And this whole thing about John not being vegan is one of the things that I think is really holding veganism back for sure.
Yeah,
it makes it look like a cult. It really does. So, but anyways, I appreciate you joining us, Raw Power. Did you see any good questions?
I hate the
here?
vegan police. Yeah, the vegan police is real. I hate the form police. I've been doing workout videos on my Instagram lately, and everyone this is not a vegan thing. It's not a fitness thing. It's just a normal human psychology thing. People want to pick faults and find people always need to they want to see people fail. They want to see people mess up. They want to criticize. They want to correct people because when you do that, you feel better about yourself. You feel like you're doing something better than someone else, right? So I've been doing a lot of workout videos, and when you do that, you feel better about yourself. You feel like you're doing something better than someone else, right? So I've been doing a lot of workout videos, and there's a lot of form police out there. There's a lot of vegan police, a lot of keto police, carnivore police, whatever else. So I think it's just the way the world works, and
unfortunately,
you can't be upset about it because that is just how human monkeys behave in the wild.
That's the thing. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I think we forget that we are animals, and we're basically these animals who are trying to pretend to be something else, and we're failing pretty miserably at it. When it comes to any kind of trends, you see how the herd mentality is so powerful. But even when it comes to the psychology of judgment, I think it really comes back from religion and maybe even the judicial system, where we're literally telling people you're either guilty or innocent. So unrealistic from a psychology point of view. Most of the things that influence you to be the person you are, most of the beliefs you have, most of the opinions are actually not of merit to yourself. They're of merit to external factors outside of your control, whether that be the parents that you were born into, the family that you were born into, the school environment, the friends that you have, the music, the movies, the books, whatever else that has subconsciously influenced you. There's millions and millions of things influencing you that you haven't even taken the time to rationally think and examine whether or not you want to take that into your subconscious or not, right? So we're being quote unquote brainwashed by so many things at all times, and then to imagine that someone is at fault for who they are is completely irrational, because most of the things that turn you into who you are actually outside of your control. So there is really no such thing as, from a psychology point of view, there's really no such thing as guilty or innocent. Nobody is a drug addict because they wanted to be a drug addict. Nobody is a criminal because they wanted to be a drug addict. Nobody is a criminal because they wanted to be a bad person. One thing all criminals have in common, actually, when you start, is that they all think they're a good person, and they all think that the system somehow messed up and they were, unfairly treated or unfairly, So, and I used to be the most judgmental person in this area. There was a guy in Norway who killed almost 100 people, Anders Behring Breivik. He went to this political thing, killed, almost 100 people. And I used to be of the opinion, screw that guy. I wish there was someone there with a gun to just kill him. He doesn't deserve to live. He's the worst human being. But when I learned more about psychology and human beings, how we work, I realized that, people aren't the way they are because they want to. So if the things that turn you into who you are aren't inside of your control, it completely does not make sense for you to take blame for who you are. So the judgment aspect, the blaming aspect is completely irrational. That's what I like, by the way, side note, the Norwegian jail system is actually a rehabilitation system. So instead of just punish, what we do in Norway, which is one of the things I think I'm the most proud of in Norway, is that we're really taking people who are not functioning in society, and then we rehabilitate them until they're at the point where they can be functional human beings and they can go out into society again. And I think that's definitely a better way of thinking about crime in general than just you're a bad person, you're a good person. It's one of the biggest, I don't know if you agree with me, but one of the biggest realizations I've made, the biggest lessons I have learned I've been in med school. I've done multiple degrees in college, almost 10 years. Been in so many countries. Learn the lesson that is one of the most important things is that if you were in another, had their genes, if you had their upbringing, their childhood, you had their experiences, you would essentially be them. There is no magical quality that would make you a good person and them a bad person, right? So these are results of things outside of your control again. So if you have that mindset that if I was in that person's shoes, I would do exactly the same thing. That goes for someone who isn't vegan. That goes for someone who is really unempathetic. That goes for criminals. That goes for everyone. If you had the exact same circumstances as someone else, you would essentially be them. So for us to have this high and mighty judgmental is just completely unrealistic. But anyways, great questions there. I don't even know where that question was when we babbled on for so long there. But again, we'll just skip a few and see if we
are you a determinist, Leo?
Yeah, so this is like one of the philosophical kind of things, decisions you make. Connectionism, the determinism versus free will. So a lot of people have the belief that we can decide everything about our lives. Now, field of psychiatry, when you look at the field of psychology, all the evidence we have about how the brain works, how human beings, way more realistic to think of the reality as more deterministic, because no matter, even the things you think you're choosing, even the things that you think are purely your free will, are dependent on the things that have happened to you before, that have built you into the person you are, to be making the decisions you are now. And this goes to, in the field of science, there's always a cause and effect. And to think that human beings magically just have this ability to bring out of nothing, to bring our own free will, is quite irrational. Now, some people think that empowerment and determinism is mutually exclusive. No, I don't think so. You can be empowered to change your own life. You can be empowered to improve yourself and take control of some things in your life that are very, very important. That is very possible. But that is also due to the fact that you have had circumstances and experience that have brought you to the point today where you are empowered to take those decisions. So yes, I think determinism, when it comes to, it's not all black or white, but it is by far the most realistic way of viewing how human beings develop, I think. But again, that's a very philosophical question. So I appreciate that. Was a very good question. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I was daydreaming.
You're daydreaming like a true philosopher. Okay, so we got an audio glitch there. My apologies. I hope you guys got most of that.
Yeah, we haven't gotten 5G yet. That's why.
Yeah, 5G. So yeah. Anyways, I think societies in general are moving in that direction. We're becoming more understanding. We're becoming more forgiving. We're becoming less judgmental because we're learning more and more about these kinds of things. But I really appreciate that question. So, do you see any good questions? Okay, we got there. Are you guys aware of the Vikernes incident back in the day and black metal in Norway? No, I'm actually not aware of that. Maybe you can send us a message if you want to have a chat about that, but I'm actually not aware of who that is. Black metal in Norway? I don't even know, what is black metal. I know heavy metal is like a type of music. Is black metal a type of metal? I don't even know.
I think that's metal, heavy metal, when you wear black clothes.
Oh, I thought it was metal for black people.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I have no idea.
That sounded really racist.
That did sound really racist.
That was Leo. That was not me.
Yeah, no. It would be racist of the black people, because if it's metal only for black people, then the black people are being racist against the non-black people. So anyways, we're not racist, by the way. If you guys are wondering, I have a lot of friends of every race, and race is actually another point that, like, genetically speaking, there are no races. We're all human beings. We're all the same species. The color of your skin doesn't really make you a different kind of human. So we have a lot more similarities than we have differences, and that goes for not just races, but all genders, all that kind of stuff. Different, and accepting everyone for who they are, despite any differences. So, any other questions you see? Sustainable farming practices. Have you? I'm not a farming expert. Actually, our grandpa was a farmer for a long time. They do have some experience, but I would say, there is talk of this kind of organic, what's it called, veganic farm. But actually, there are farms all over that can actually do the whole process vegan and sustainable, where you're using compost to fertilize the plants. And there's definitely, there's also this argument that if you're vegan, you're still killing animals, but there are definitely ways of reducing that as well.
And there's some people, some people will, again, we haven't, done the research enough of this and give proper, even if animals are necessary for,
connection.
Man, I thought the internet here was good.
Yeah, the internet is really bad, even though we're supposed to have the best internet.
Yeah, that's Spain for you. So yeah, even though the most sustainable, the most regenerative farming practices, even if they need cattle roaming around and that kind of stuff, I still think that having it as plant-based as possible is going to be the best anyway. And I think there's so many different ways of doing it, and I think we haven't even started scratching the surface of what's possible in terms of technology, in terms of figuring out what's going to be the most sustainable way forward. This is just opinions from people that have, obviously, we know what works, what we've done up to this point, but that doesn't mean that they're not better alternatives out there. And I'm sure this is going to be a big topic as more environmentalism and sustainability becomes a bigger talking point in society. I think we'll come with a lot more discussions, and I'm looking forward to that, because I look forward to educating myself a bit more on that topic.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to know a lot of these things. And I think, in terms of it, you also hear a lot of people, don't you love it when people are like, that you talk about, it's all of these, it's hypotheticals. I really dislike using hypotheticals as an argument, because we're not talking about real life. So hypothetical situations are not the real situation. Right now, we have the technology to have greenhouses in the North Pole. We can grow bananas ever. So if we can do that, and we can reduce animal suffering, we can reduce the environmental impact, why wouldn't we do that? Just because someone in the Ice Age wasn't able to do that? It doesn't make any sense. But again, intellectualization is a very prominent egoic defense mechanism, and it's used by everyone, really, not just non-vegans. Vegans have a lot of biases too, so it's kind of cool to explore some of these ideas. How much time do you have left?
Like 5-10 minutes.
Okay, 5-10 minutes. So 5-10 minutes to get the best questions.
Best questions. Go hard. Go. Challenge us.
And again, if you want to make sure that your question gets read out loud, you can donate as little as $1 or as much as you want. But there's a little $ next to the chat that will make sure that your question gets answered. So try to get the most challenging questions, the hardest questions for us, and we'll try to leaves.
Yeah, so, there is a question about coffee. Would you, or would love to know your opinions on coffee, and if you can talk about adrenal fatigue versus positive effects such as antioxidants, energy boosts, etc. So I wouldn't use coffee as a nutrition source, like for antioxidants, or obviously people use it as an energy boost, right? So I drink coffee on and off, but a lot of time, because it is addicting and I feel good about it, and I don't have many issues with it, I do drink it sometimes, but I also get side effects. I also, if I drink too much, I will feel adrenal fatigue sometimes. I will get a little bit more jittery. I'll have a little bit more blurred vision and these things if I drink a lot of coffee, and the coffee that I make is super strong. So I wouldn't say that coffee is a healthy thing, to be honest, because with anything that will benefit you and will hack your system, that effectively will have its drawbacks for sure, like any other drug. So
yeah, it is one of the most useful supplements in sports. It's one of the most effective supplements in many ways. But the coffee bean in and of itself has a few beneficial things, but
Mhm.
I think,
We can get them from other
exactly.
things.
Yeah. And caffeine in and of itself. Actually, a lot of people don't know this, but caffeine, the plant it comes from, is actually a cousin to the cocaine plant. So chemically, they're actually quite related.
sense.
They're quite related. Yeah. Of course, I'm not saying that caffeine is as bad as cocaine, but they are related.
That's
So-
good, you mean?
John Venus. Cocaine. All right, so we got one here with I think you like this one. Which non-vegan fitness YouTubers do you respect, admire?
Well, I don't know any vegan fitness YouTubers, to be honest. So apart from, well, yeah, I don't know any. If you guys have any vegan fitness YouTubers, please recommend them to me. I want to find them because everyone that I know are mostly, nutrition related, not very much fitness. Like me, Brian, Derek, we're all talking and showing more of our diets rather than our training routines. We barely ever talk about training, so it would be cool to see more training. I think Clarence Kennedy is the power. He does.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
so
watch
impressive.
him, but I know that he's good. So if you guys are looking for some hardcore training footage,
Really nice guy as well. I met him in Ireland when I was studying in Ireland because he is Irish actually, but he is a monster. He has some really impressive lifts. For sure. Okay, so let's see. We got a super chat here from Dazzy.
Thank you.
So the question from Dazzy is: do vegans smell better than carnivores? Appreciate the donation, Dazzy, and appreciate the very important question being asked. And the thing is, when you're vegan, you actually don't even require, this is a scientific fact coming from a medical doctor, you don't require any deodorants because your perspiration, your sweat, smells like sunshine and flowers.
Or because you just get used to the foul smell that, it just becomes your new norm.
Hey, don't ruin my vibe
sorry.
here. Actually, that's something that's interesting about bananas. The ethylene that comes off of it, the gas, is actually ripens other fruits. So if you put bananas next to the other fruit will ripen very quickly. And vegans tend to smell like bananas. No, I'm sure. I don't know. I think in my experience, vegans, again, you can eat a terrible diet as a vegan. You can probably smell terrible as a vegan too. But I think most of the people, let's put it this way, most of the people who I've smelled,
That's so
who
funny.
gave me a less than enjoyable experience probably were not vegan.
That's
So I hope
statistics right there.
I hope that answers your question, Dazzy. All right. Do you see any other questions?
I see some suggestions for fitness channels. I see Frank Medrano. I don't think he's vegan. Apparently he's not vegan.
Okay.
That's what I've heard. Don't blame me for spilling the secret. That's what I've heard. Mad Fit, actually she started, Maddie Limburner started her fitness channel, so that is a purely fitness channel. It's like home workouts, not something that I would do, like type of workouts, but for anyone who is stuck at home at quarantine,
so now it's perfect.
Probably the best channel to follow. So big shout out to Maddie. Amazing channel.
Perfect.
Can you heal ringworms?
So ringworm, for those of you who are wondering, is a fungal infection that you can get. It's just called ringworm because of the pattern that it gives on your skin. But yeah, absolutely, your immune system can deal with ringworm infections. It sounds kind of like it was a worm or a parasite, but it's actually a fungal infection. And then when it comes to fungal infections, I guess hygiene is very important as well. Avoiding really like kind of moist environments and stuff like that. But yeah, you can definitely do that.
So I'm seeing some people saying like, discussing that, typical, non-vegan or typical person that doesn't believe in the, that a plant-based diet or a vegan diet can be healthy. You'll see in 2-3 years, they will not be vegan anymore. We've heard that
for so many years.
Oh my God. Like,
isn't that funny? Like every year it's like it gets longer.
Yeah.
So I've been vegan,
I guarantee in 1 year. And then it's like,
and then you go 1 year and then it's like, okay, 3 years. And then you go 3 years and like 5 years. And then now I'm at 7 years. It's like, okay, 10 years, what years? And I know people have been decades. was like, no, you'll be healthy for 50 years. And then
exactly.
after 50 years, the meat deficiency will kick in.
Yeah, I mean, that is it, because like, eventually we'll be vegan for 50 years, and they're gonna say the same, like exactly the same thing as you said. It's 55 years. That's max.
Yeah, it's so bad.
But every year that goes by, the only thing that changes is a bicep size. They just keep getting bigger. Yeah. So
right. So
yeah, we got a super chat. Cool.
Awesome. Sergio Ramos, the Madrid player. Glad that you are joining us for this chat, Sergio Ramos. Give a big shout out to Cristiano Ronaldo. No, anyways, you guys are an inspiration. Oh, he doesn't? Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm so outside the loop when it comes to soccer now, or football, as it's really called. But Sergio Ramos, you guys are an inspiration. Thank you for everything. Met John in first Santa Monica meetup. Hope to meet you, Leo. Can veganism help with cystic fibrosis?
Tough question.
Thank you. That is a tough question. First of all, thank you so much for the love. Appreciate it. I hope I get to meet you too, and we can play some soccer. But yeah, so when it comes to cystic fibrosis, for those of you who don't know, that is actually a genetic disease. So this is one of the rare occasions where I would say you are kind of on the losing side of how much you can do about it. Cystic fibrosis is something where there's actually many different subtypes of cystic fibrosis depending on which gene you have that is mutated. Some of them actually have treatments, some of them don't, and it's actually one of the main kind of genetic diseases in Ireland. Norway, it's pretty common as well, and it's I think in Ireland it's something like 1 out of 14 people carry the gene. So if 1 out of 14 people meets another 1 out of 14 person, then there's a 25% chance that their kid will have cystic fibrosis, and it's one of the main life-shortening genetic diseases in the world. So it depends on your subtype. Of course, again, optimizing, no matter what you have, even with genetic diseases, optimizing your health as much as you can, as much as possible through diet, exercise, sleep, relaxation, mental health, all of these aspects of health. A holistic approach to your lifestyle is never going to do you harm. It's always going to make whatever situation you are, it's going to make the best out of whatever situation you're on. So even if you have a genetic disease where you're going to, have some of these unavoidable issues, no matter what you do, you can still make the best out of what you have. So yeah, I would say it's still, taking care of your health and having a whole foods plant-based diet can definitely probably help. But there's no way of reversing it until we get to the point where we can genetically engineer, have treatments where we can genetically re-engineer people and change their genome. Cystic fibrosis is not going to be treatable. So I hope that answered your question. It's a really good question. So that was Sergio Ramos. If any of you other people want to make sure your question gets answered, there's a little $sign. If you donate as little as $1, that was actually a very generous $5 donation. So thank you. Very appreciate that very much. But even if you give just $1, we'll make sure to answer those questions. So do you want to take maybe one or two last questions before you go?
Those do you recommend against vaping? Vaping. So this is a I've gotten this question on my social media a lot. A lot of people ask about vaping, e-cigarettes, even normal cigarettes, cannabis, smoking in general, and vaping. Mm-hmm. And there was this recent scandal of vapors, messing up their lungs completely. And, I don't know what happened. I didn't even look at it, but it just goes without saying that all of these things are just, obviously not recommendable, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to vape any, toxic substance. Of course, it's awesome. It gives you this amazing feeling and it's fun or whatever. But obviously, in terms of health, I don't think any health professional or anyone who's into health and has experience in the field would ever recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is actually evidence that came out that vaping is does increase your chance of certain cancers as well. So it's not harmless. It might be maybe a little bit less, lesser of two evils, right? Might be a little bit less bad than some other like smoking and stuff like that. But it's
amazing. Apparently, some people say it's even worse. So
yeah. So
who knows?
It's not, from a health point of view. The only responsible recommendation is to say avoid it. Same for alcohol. Same for most recreational drugs or illicit substances. Alcohol, it causes cancer of the throat, mouth, esophagus, stomach, liver. It's toxic to the brain. So again, It's one of these things that's socially accepted in society, most places anyways. A lot of Muslim countries, you can't really drink alcohol, but in most of the world, it's accepted. But it's, again, from a health point of view, the only reasonable recommendation is to minimize, which means as close to zero as possible, which means zero, really. So anyways, I think we both don't drink zero, but we drink pretty close to zero, maybe like once a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do you want to, is there any?
You go for it.
Okay. Oh, I was going to read this one. It says question from John. Okay, so I'll go for another one. Are omega-3 fats healthy? Yes, absolutely. They are an essential fat, so you do require them. The question usually comes up whether plant-based or not. So, and whether or not you need fish. A funny thing about fish, actually, a lot of people don't realize this. Fish cannot make their own omega-3 fatty acids, just like us. So they need to get it from somewhere else. And where do fish get it from? They get it from phytoplankton. They get it from algae. So basically the plants of the ocean. So in other words, even the food that most people think, oh, they're doing the clapping. So 8 p.m. here, we're actually, it's a culture. It's a pretty nice culture. 8 p.m. Everyone gets outside and starts clapping in honor of all the health workers that are dealing with COVID-19. So it's pretty nice culture that they have here in Spain. I've heard they were doing it in quite a few other countries as well. But just back to the omega-3, yes, it's an essential fatty acid, so you do require them. Fish is not the only source, so you can get them vegan as well. Okay, so do you want to take the one that was specific to you?
I don't see it, but yeah, if you can find it, read it to me.
Yeah, so that was just this one here. How can you be so confident and motivated? Or how do you stay confident and motivated? What are your secrets?
How do you stay confident and motivated?
That's a tough question.
I mean, this is, every single person will struggle with motivation, and most people will struggle with confidence as well. But everyone will struggle with motivation at some point, right? Because it's impossible to maintain optimal, high levels of motivation, at all times. You will always have those little dips. Even if it's like a couple minutes a day, or maybe it lasts longer, maybe a couple of days or weeks or months, sometimes even years. It will happen, right? But the important thing when it comes to motivation and confidence, it's all mindset, right? You got to know what you want out of life. You got to know yourself. You got to know like your strengths, your weaknesses, and just be in a comfortable place with yourself. Be at peace. Because if you're not at peace with yourself, if you don't know yourself well enough, it's going to be really, really hard to be confident and really hard to motivate yourself to take action based on whatever you want in life.
Yeah, I think that's really key, though, when you're saying, getting to know yourself. Because I see a lot of people, they search for these things outside of themselves, right? As soon as I get this, as soon as I get this achievement, as soon as I get this, as soon as I do that, as soon as I get this reward, then I will be confident.
No.
But it actually always comes from within, and it's only self-reflection, self-development, and really getting to the stage where you can actually be happy with yourself and realize, again, a lot of it is coming to peace with the fact that you're not at fault for being less than perfect or less than adequate in certain areas. Like I said, everything leading up to the place you are today is a result of millions of influences from the day you were born to the day you are today. So it's not actually your fault. There's no blame. And when you remove the blame and the shame, it takes a big weight off your shoulders. And I think one of the mindsets that has always helped me is just to go back to basics, go back to the simple, very primitive, very visceral. Is this really a life or death kind of thing? Is this really something that is going to have a big impact on my life? And if it's not, then it's not such a big deal. It's not a big deal to embarrass yourself. It's not a big deal to make mistakes. All of these things are human things that we all have in common. There's no such thing as a person who's gone through life without failing in certain areas. So the mindset that has helped me a lot is one that just goes, it's very simple. This might sound corny, but it's helped me a ton, and it takes all pressure off. It's no matter what happens, I'll be just fine. And if you can conceptualize that mindset and really truly believe that, then there's no pressure, because no matter how bad you and your subjective fail, you're going to be just fine. It's not the end of the world. You're not, if you don't have a lion chasing you, and you don't have or some psychopath or some carnivore trying to eat you, your life is not in imminent danger, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and a lot of people kind of depend on a end goal, a prize, right? Like you're motivated because you see like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get this amount of money, or I'm going to get this body, or I'm going to get this, job or whatever. And at the end of the day, I think you have to be independent of any external factors like that, for sustainable motivation. And I fall into this trap all the time. I'm like, like I want to achieve this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And of course, when you're in that, chase, you feel extra boosts of motivation, but they're never sustainable, because once you get there, there's always, something else that you want to achieve. There's always a different perspective. So it's just finding something within yourself that you can kind of, sustain forever without being reliant on anything else. So a really cool book that I read, probably my favorite book ever, that I have completely forgotten. I read it so many years ago, but I had to reread it. It's called The Values Factor. And it's in terms of, it's a lot about psychology and, values, and how to get people to take action based on what your deepest values are. So for sustainable motivation, I always like to tell people that try to connect your why to your deepest values, or an action that you want to take to your deepest values. So how will eating healthy or working out be related to your deepest values? Well, if your deepest value is, your kids and, playing with your kids or whatever, or being around as a grandparent or something, you can easily connect eating healthy and working out to making the case of being around them and being, physically capable of running around, playing soccer, playing whatever sport, and, just,
golf.
Not falling for these, or not getting these lifestyle diseases that everyone is getting at their, 60s and 70s. So definitely recommend that book, but just find some basic values that you treasure and you will always treasure for the rest of your lives, and find a way to stay motivated within those simple things. Don't rely on, $1 million goal or a Lamborghini or something like that, because once you get a Lamborghini, trust me guys, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Not that I have a Lamborghini, but I know a lot of people who do.
You have a Beamer. It's almost a Lamborghini.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's a beautiful answer. I can't add any more than that. That was perfect. Okay. So I don't know. I think we might as well end. We've actually been almost 1.5 hours, almost 120 minutes. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been a great pleasure to have the big bro joining me for this live. I've learned a ton from this guy. I'm sure most of you following me actually come from John, but in the off chance that there's one or two of you who don't know who John is, go check him out. He's both on YouTube and Instagram, John Venus. Lots of great content, much better than my content.
No. Well, my content is more, if you want, comedy, and then yours is more for science, I think.
Well, I've been doing a lot of comedy lately as well.
Yeah, you're crushing it. Yeah.
So anyways, appreciate everyone who came on. Thank you so much for the donations. A last little point, for those of you who do want to support the content I create, I actually have a Patreon account, just Dr. Leo Venus on Patreon. If even 5% of my followers or subscribers donated the minimum amount of $2 per month, that would more than sustain me to just focus on creating content for the future. So that is something that I would really appreciate if you did consider. And if you don't, I'll continue to make free stuff on YouTube and Instagram either way. So I really appreciate you, and appreciate everyone who asked questions today as well. All right. Bye-bye, John.
Bye-bye.
And actually, just before I end,
it's for me.
It's not for you. Okay, so thank you, John. Bye-bye.
Do I still get the cut?
Yeah, no, you don't get this one. All right, so I'll just answer this one, and then I'm going to take off as well. But again, thank you so much, everyone. And this was from Modern Wood Elf. So thank you so much. Generous donation of $5 again. So really appreciate that. Do you believe we've properly evolved to eat gluten, or is it best left out of our diets? Thanks. So great question. Gluten is one of those interesting things because it's not really found in a lot of natural plants that we have. From the science, I can say most people, it's not an issue. There are some people who worry about it being a bit pro-inflammatory oh no, we're getting more super chats. I really appreciate it, but I guess I'll just keep going. As long as there are super chats, I'll keep going. That's okay. I'm gonna I turned off the microphone by accident. I'm gonna turn on the light here so it doesn't get too dark. But yeah, so when it comes to gluten, we only started really using plants that have gluten in them for food around 10,000 years ago when we had the agricultural revolution. Before that, we really relied more on the more natural foods that are around in in terms of starchy vegetables, fruits, stuff like that. Not so much wheat and barley and rye and these gluten-containing foods. So yeah, you could make an argument that probably if I had to construct the optimal human diet, I might actually exclude gluten. But that being said, the science suggests it's not a big danger for most people unless you have a celiac disease, where of course you want to avoid it as much as possible. If you don't, you're actually increasing your chances of even getting cancer and a lot of other negative things. But even regardless, and actually gluten intolerance is something that a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion about whether it's a real thing or not. I can tell you from a medical point of view, it is a real thing, but it's very small. So out of everyone who thinks they have gluten intolerance, is something like 3 to 10% of those people actually have gluten intolerance. So most people who think they have it don't actually have it, but there is an actual thing that is, gluten intolerance is actually a real thing. But for most people, it's not a problem. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it if you're in the context of an otherwise whole foods plant-based diet. But if you're, if you have a condition and you think that gluten might be a problem, then it might be another thing to consider. But yeah, from an evolution point of view, it's quite an interesting thing because, again, we didn't have it until the agricultural revolution, which is very recent, right? 10,000 years is very little from the evolution point of view. So thank you so much for the question, Modern Wood Elf. Speaking of evolution, you're ahead of us if you're an elf. Appreciate the donation. Very kind, $5 donation. And same, Sergio Ramos, another $5 donation. Really appreciate it. So we got another question here. So we got, thank you. Been vegan 4 years, following you guys the entire time. Leah, what do you know about the transient reactive papulotranslucent acrokeratoderma? Is actually something I know nothing about, but I tell you what, because you were so kind to make that donation, I'm actually going to write that down, and then I'm going to let you know what I find on Sunday, because we're going to do the next live on Sunday. Otherwise, what you can do if you're not joining us on the live on Sunday, just send me a message on Instagram or on email, and I'll make sure to let you know personally what I find. So I'm just going to write that down here. So reactive. Okay. That's interesting. I've never actually looked much into that before at all, but I'm always looking forward to learning new things. Okay. Has a very long name too. Okay. Acrokeratoderma. Okay. So thank you so much for the donation. Like I said, I'll be answering that question for the long words. Yeah, I saw somebody talk about long. This is actually a thing about medicine. A lot of things where just the medical terms are just there to make us sound smart because it sounds like something alien. A lot of times, actually, you'll tell something to a doctor, and they'll literally just tell you exactly what you told them in a medical term, and then you'll think like they know what I'm talking about. It's one of these things. Again, I don't like crapping on my or talking bad stuff or shitting on my medical colleagues, but it's one of the things that we are taught by a lot of I feel like I should be honest and transparent with you guys, so I'm going to tell you my experience in med school. One of the many things that we're taught in order to get confidence in our a certain way of speaking, a certain way of acting, to instill confidence in our patients so they feel safe. But one of the things that they tell us is sometimes just saying what a patient tells you and putting that into a medical term will sometimes make your patients feel like you know what you're talking about. And this is kind of one of those areas where you're like, well, isn't it better to just say that you don't know much about it than actually go and research the topic and get back to them. But this is one of the things. It's one of the things that doctors do get taught is how to come across as knowledgeable, I guess, because you don't want to be unknowledgeable. So it's quite a scary thing, and actually one of the scariest things that I dislike about the medical industry. And specifically, I have a lot of colleagues, both medical students and even professional doctors, because of this dynamic of, you are a doctor, you're supposed to know your stuff. And the shame around ignorance is, again, a completely irrational topic. Human beings are all ignorant of many things. There's no such thing as a human that knows everything. And so there should be zero shame in saying that you don't know something. But one of the things that you're literally trained in medical school when you go to practical exams is they tell you, your instructors, your professors, your lecturers will tell you to act confident when you're in a practical exam, and to act as if you're 100% certain. Even if you're not sure of the answer, act as if you're 100% certain of what you are saying. And this is how you get good grades in practical exams in medical school. So if you're honest and say, look, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the answer to this question. I believe from the research that I do remember that it's something like this, but I would have to double check before I can tell you for certain. No, that's not going to get you the best grade. What's going to give you the best grade is if you put on a poker face and you just 100% confidence, this is how it is, and even if you're wrong, just pretend that and it's a very damaging, because, again, you're getting these students coming into the field as professional doctors talking about stuff as if they knew it 100% for sure, even though a lot of times they're just trying to save face and live up to the paper of being the expert. So very, very one of the things I really disliked about medical school when I went through it. But yeah, I'll look into that. Sergio Ramos, thank you very much for your donation. Thank you very much to everybody who joined us live. Like I said, I've been really enjoying them. Really appreciate John coming up as well. It was a kind of a fun dynamic there. Who knows? Maybe we'll do some more. We can even have other people. Maybe I can even get my little brother, Andre, to join one day. You guys can ask him some questions too. Who knows? We can have fun with these and experiment with a few new things. So thanks so much, everyone who joined. I will do this again on Sunday. And on Sunday, I will start off by answering a couple of questions. First, the transient reactive papulotranslucent acrokeratoderma, the long word that was just asked here. And then also some questions on the 5G conspiracies, the 5G that is coming out, some health questions around that was asked. Last time I did a live. So we'll be answering those two questions on Sunday. So I hope to see as many of you guys on Sunday as possible. And again, Sergio Ramos, if you can't make it on Sunday, just send me a message on Instagram after that, and I'll make sure to let you know what I find for this condition. So that is it for today. I appreciate every one of you. Keep on being awesome. Keep on relying on the evidence and taking care of yourselves. If you're not taking care of your health, you're not going to be able to live your best life and enjoy this precious gift that was given to us called life, especially in these times where people are being so fearful and so panicked and so sad sometimes. Don't be afraid of taking care of your happiness and enjoying yourselves. Don't feel like you're pressured to be miserable or depressed in these times. It's okay for you to be happy. It's okay for you to enjoy yourself. So that being said, I'll see you guys on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Good Friday, Easter weekend. We're all celebrating inside our homes, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.